That's recording when you're ready.
That one. Far out.
Good start.
Oh, is that one?
Yeah. Oh, we're starting it like this too.
Hi all, welcome back to Dan and the Doctor. This is our 9th edition of Dan and the Doctor. It's always great to have the good doctor by my side.
And what a ride it's been, mate.
What a ride it has been, Gordon.
Exactly.
It's to the 2 viewers we have and 3 listeners, thank you for your support and we really appreciate it. On today's episode, we have Aaron Violi, the amazing member for Casey, federal member there. He's a Lib. We won't hold that against him because we're bipartisan on this show.
Absolutely.
So we do whatever we can there. But it's just good to get all the newbies on and get through and talk about their journey into the place and what they think about it. And it'll genuinely be a piss take of yourself, so it'll be quite good.
I've played sport all my life, so I'm used to taking the piss out of myself and others, so it should be good fun.
That's good, and you've brought sport straight up, so I'll ask a few sporting questions.
Yeah, no problems.
And you're into AFL. Who do you go for the
Yeah,
AFL?
I'm a Collingwood tragic, so very happy to talk football, reigning premiers. We're going to enjoy that. Do have all my teeth. Got all my teeth.
It's a bit disgusting
I know,
there. What's going on there?
It throws people a lot down. It's the main comment I get. I'm too nice to be a Collingwood supporter and I've got all my teeth. So I figure if that's the thing that people dislike about me most as a Member of Parliament, I'm doing okay.
Doing well.
No, very happy to talk Collingwood. I could talk for an hour and a half about that, but I'm sure that 2 viewers would be upset, although I might, my family are all diehard Collingwood, so I might pass this to my uncles and aunts and cousins and we'll get it to double figures, the advantage of being Italian.
Yeah, good work.
New viewership.
That's what happens when bringing the Italian families in. It just gets shared all around.
Shared around, that's right, exactly
That's what we're fully after here with Dan and the Doctor. You're also into soccer. Who's your soccer team?
Yeah, well, I call myself a child of David Beckham and Eric Cantona. So I'm a Manchester United supporter from way back. So it's been a painful few years since Fergie left. So yeah, I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s playing soccer. So we didn't have the A-League and there was no real local team. Right. So I was Manchester United and AC Milan in the Serie A, and then got on to Melbourne Heart that became Melbourne City in the A-League, and then a bit of local soccer as well. But yeah.
You guys have got some fantastic fields there all around Casey where soccer gets to and does a lot of work there. You guys do have some good sporting fields in your area. There's no doubt about that.
No, we do, although a funny story, so we're Melbourne City, train at Casey Fields, but Casey Fields is actually, I think it's in Holt. I think it's Cassandra Fernando.
We had her on earlier on the show as well. We've had her before,
So the funny bit is, so the federal seat of Casey is named after Sir Richard Casey, former Governor-General, Liberal Minister. But there is the City of Casey area, which doesn't overlap in any way, but the borders match, and it's in that area. And so I got invited early on to a Melbourne City game, to their big corporate thing and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, this is a bit weird. Well, I'm a soccer fan. I'm going to go, maybe they knew. And halfway through the event, and I got the announcement, and it was at one of the games, it dawned on me that they saw member for Casey, and they're in the council area of Casey because they had the state member, the local area. I was like, well, I'm going to enjoy this, but I had to... I waited till I got home and then politely emailed them. Said, look, more than happy to come to any games, but that's not actually my area.
Have you been invited back?
I have actually.
You have?
Been good to me.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're my kids. We've been able to go to a few games, not to the sort of the fancy stuff because my kids are 8 and 10, but to a few games, and the kids have loved it. And the really good thing they do these days is the women play before the men. So we go we went over Christmas, and my daughter, who's 8, is Matilda's obsessed. So she got to watch the women play, and then the men played. So it was good for her to be able to see professional athletes on a level playing field. Was fantastic. So yeah, still go.
That is good for our daughters to see that too.
Absolutely.
My daughters are right into basketball.
Yes.
And they love seeing the females play in basketball. The women play, they're very aggressive.
Yes, they are.
They're quite good.
They go hard.
And cricket.
Yes.
Yes, which is your love of all sports.
Probably my main passion as a player. Yeah, absolutely.
And you're a batter with an average of 17, I heard. So I wouldn't really call that a batter.
No,
I'd call that really like just going out there and I might hit this.
I would question your statistics. I'd like to know the source of those.
We keep these close to our chest here. So
like they say in politics, you can make statistics say anything you want. I think I average.
And don't worry, I've got some more.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. But yeah, no, wicket-keeper batsman. Although I am an opening batsman, and there's an old saying that the opening batsman has the toughest job. So whatever our average is, you should at least double it.
Oh, cry me a river.
Although
Listen to all the
actually-
opening batsmen around Australia going, we
Although
love
there's-
you, Aaron, we love you.
There's one average there's one average when it comes to batting that I'm very proud of that I'm going to just blatantly just not even humble brag, just brag about. Since being elected, we've had 3 Poly versus Press cricket games and I'm averaging 136 in those games. So you're going to retire at 50 and I've made 250 not outs and went out for 36. So 136 is the average and no buys and no drop catches in 3 games. So I'm just going to shamelessly plug myself. So I'm a better cricketer as a politician than I was playing country cricket back at home.
I heard there's not much talent in that Polly's team, though.
Oh, look, I'm never...
Sorry, not the Polly's team. I heard the Polly's
Press?
team's okay. The Press team I've heard is a little bit rough.
Well, we did comfortably beat them in the first 2 games and then there was quite a lot of handy cricketers playing in the 3rd game for the Press that no one had seen in the press gallery before. So I think there was a bit of recruiting. When the one guy turned up in cricket ACT gear, I thought, oh, gee, we're in a bit of strife here. So they got us last time, but we were 2-0 up since I've started. So
2-0,
not like Andrew Probyn to, push the boundaries of the rules at all.
Very good. And highest score of playing normal cricket, domestic cricket is 72.
Incorrect.
Incorrect.
100 I think it's 147.
Once again, you can make stats whatever you
Well,
want. Listen to the politicians.
Fake
news.
The problem is
misinformation.
Misinformation and disinformation, absolutely. Problem is I'm that old that when I first started playing cricket, they didn't have... So what they've got now is called My Cricket, where all the scores get uploaded onto the website. But 20 plus years ago, all those statistics didn't exist. So I was all down here. I made 147 as a 17-year-old, 22 years ago, and then so it wasn't on My Cricket back then. So now that could be right because...
So 147 playing under 17s, that's pretty good.
No, seniors.
Seniors, sorry.
17 playing against men, thank you very much.
Playing against men, yeah. Was it like the Press team or was it a proper team?
No, it was a proper team. We had to, another just blatant brag, we had to win the game to make the finals. So we won a premiership that year. We won that, we qualified. I top scored in the semi-final and second top scored in the grand final to win the flag. So I hit a rich vein of form at the right time. So I'm very humble about my cricket.
If the listeners and viewers haven't noticed, he doesn't mind talking himself up a bit.
Hang on. Well, I'm just living in your shadow. The amount of times I've heard in Parliament that you're an Olympian is pick that up off the floor a few times. So I'm just learning from the best.
Look, you gotta work with your strength.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
and when you have 2 or 3 successes on the sporting field, you just got to make them. That's all I got. 2 or 3 stories. That's it.
Are we calling the shooting range a field?
Ooh.
No, it's a shooting range. It's a range.
Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
Elite
definitely
athlete.
not a field, yes. That's exactly right. And athletes come in all shapes and sizes.
They do.
Chiseled
That's it,
perfection.
exactly right, yes.
And with all this sport, Aaron, you must be quite a fit gentleman there, mate.
Well,
The best looking bloke in Parliament, I think.
no.
Like
hang
us
on.
over
Hey,
here.
can I pull something in here? Because we got the good doctor here who's a very handsome fellow.
He is.
Rates himself quite high.
Yes.
The north
And
end
then
of a
when the-
southbound wombat. It's a bad face.
He's all talk on the cameras here, people, but don't worry, behind the scenes he's going,
very happy with himself.
Gets in front of the mirror going,
That was a long time ago, Dan. Had a 6-pack, now at the washboard. I would have had a washboard, now at the twin tub.
But I told Gordon you were on our list to do next.
Yes.
He just shriveled up into a little shell because he goes, oh, he's a handsome fellow.
He's a good-looking
How am I going
bloke.
to compete with this man?
Jeez.
So the nice olive
I'm
skin.
going as red as your shirt at the moment, Dan. It's
Making him blush in this
No,
cold
I
weather.
thought this was casual. I've just been to the gym, but you know what it's like when you get flew up this morning. So if you don't take the time to get some exercise up here when you can, you're in trouble. So
You've got to look after yourself whenever you can in this
you have
building.
to.
So, and
Physical health is good for your mental health, absolutely.
certainly is. And if we're not mentally right, we can't do our jobs. So it's
Absolutely.
a big part of what we do. As you can see, we are all a bit more casual today.
We are.
We usually film these early in the morning before Parliament. This time it's after Parliament. So it's a bit of a different time, a bit more casual. We're quite enjoying it. I don't mind this look.
This
We
is
might
the
talk
old
to the team
sort
and
of
see if we can run with it.
the after dinner drinks.
That's exactly right. Or we could just do with a little drink here, and then it would make it top it off, I fear.
Yes, well,
Yes.
maybe another time. Moving right along. So one thing we ask everyone, Aaron, is, how did you get into Parliament? What's your journey? I remember sitting in the chamber for your first speech, which was one of the first ones, one of the earlier ones. And
Yes.
that was a really, really moving speech. And I know you spoke about a lot of the things that led you to Parliament, but for just the people watching, what were the main drivers that got you in, and what are you setting out to achieve?
Yeah, it's always a big one, isn't it? I'll try not to spend too long on it because we can all talk forever about ourselves. But I was lucky enough to.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah,
ain't that the truth?
And we haven't heard too much of it yet, so I don't know whether you just go back and hear about the cricket, but anyway, it's been a bit.
About the cricket. And I was lucky enough to give my first speech on opening day, which was.
Well, you were too,
yeah. Sally, I think you've got Sally on soon. I know she's a neighbour here. She was there as well, and Zanetta and Zoe Daniels. I think the four of us on first day, which was quite nice in the sense that you both remember we're just full of that wonder and excitement. So it felt really special. We hadn't got into the nitty gritty of Parliament yet. So I guess really quickly, for me, I was always determined to, if I was going to run for politics, it was to be the member for Casey, not a politician in any seat. And the reason being that I'm a third generation local to Casey. My family came from Italy in 1952 and had a farm in Sylvan, which is in the electorate. All my family still live there now. So it's been a big part of my life, whether it's sport, my family, my uncle and aunt, and my grandparents had a farm, and agriculture is a big part of the community. Being Italian and the olive skin,
Jealous.
there's a strong...
I am, because I'm Italian. I didn't get any olive skin.
What happened? You lost the lottery.
I definitely did. All I got was a hairy back. You get a nice salamis, a nice Italian food, just the hair.
It's occupational hazard of being Italian, but and there's a really strong Italian community in Casey as well. So there was for me a real sense of wanting to represent my home and I know every MP says it, and it is true. Every seat is unique and special, and so I really felt that the member for Casey had to be someone that was local and had spent their life there. And within that, I joined the Liberal Party about 10 years ago, about a decade ago. Supported Tony Smith, who was the former member, some of the state MPs as a volunteer, and on the executive as a volunteer. Spent 15 years in business, so I was really juggling, my family, working full time, volunteering in the party, also involved in community groups, so on executives for sporting clubs, and founding chair of the Lilydale Township Action Group, which is the town that I live in Casey. We didn't have a voice at that time, and there was a group of us that thought it was important we were represented. There's many great township groups across Casey. So I've always been politically aware and politically active. I actually studied, did an arts degree and studied politics at university because I've had this passion for it, but finished that and really made a choice to move into business and spend time in business. Spent 15 years there, started a local food manufacturer in Lilydale, Yarra Valley Snack Foods, then went to Mars Australia, and when I was at Yarra Valley Snack Foods, did an MBA, and then spent 3 years prior to politics working at a tech startup. So I thought for me, like being local but also having that diverse experience was important to bring to Parliament. I mean, you gave a really good speech, which I didn't agree with all of it.
Head up for the disclaimer.
Disclaimer. But I thought your speech around one of the particular changes to IR was really powerful because you were talking about your lived experience, and you'd know the speech I'm talking about, and the point you were making, and we've chatted about this, was really valid, but what I loved about it was no one else could deliver the speech that you delivered, and you had this passionate conviction in why you were delivering that speech. And I think the more MPs across all sides that have lived experience that they can bring in and have different perspectives just makes democracy stronger. It makes our decision-making stronger.
I think it's easy to read party lines and the media packs and everything, but putting your lived experience in and where you've come from and who you are is very important.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And because that's what our areas want us to be as well. And they want us to work together bipartisan. As I've said many times in that chamber, that the more stuff we can do together, the better it is for the whole of Australia.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and look, it's important. The political debate and the disagreement is actually important. It's an important part of democracy. We don't want I mean, the opposition's job, whether it's Liberal or Labor, is to hold the government to account. And that means bring an alternative. You know, and I get, not frustrated, it's not the right word. Many people miss the amount of legislation that goes through bipartisan. The amount where the government, to their credit, will go, I actually will agree with the opposition's amendment because yes, they've got to get it through, but also they can see that it still works and not a bad idea. Yeah. And I understand from a media perspective, it's pretty boring if the 6 o'clock news goes, and today the Liberal Party and the Labor Party agreed on 4 bits of legislation that's going to improve. I get it.
For good TV now, doesn't it?
It doesn't. And, I'm as guilty. Actually, you've been kicked out. The doc hasn't been kicked out of question time.
The doc hasn't been kicked out.
No, I'm a good boy.
Yeah. I've only been kicked out though when I've been actively backing the hunter. And things that affect the hunter. So,
same. I'm a few times, and it's always on specific issues that I'm passionate about and impact my community. And you've got to use every different. I mean question time's the theatre as well. So
that's right.
You've got to get involved in that. But so they're the reasons really that I put my hand up, bring my lived experience, bring my connection to my community. I felt like I could make a difference.
And there was one part, sorry to interrupt, but
there
was one part of your speech I remember, I think it was your first speech, it might have been a speech shortly following that, was about your experiences in the bushfires. That was in your first speech?
Yeah, that was in my first speech, and I've spoken about Black Sat Day on the anniversaries, so just by pure coincidence and what I consider good luck, if that's the right word, we've been sitting both times in February not probably coincidence, February 3rd, and we usually sit that first week of February, but I've been able to speak on the anniversary. I spoke about it in my first speech. My wife and I were caught in Black Saturday, so my mum, I grew up in Yarra Glen, which is a town about 20 minutes from where I now live in Lilydale. So my wife and I were in Lilydale, which is urban fringe, so we're the last suburb before you get to farmland and country. So we'd gone to evacuate my mum and my stepdad, and as I said at the time, looking back, you shouldn't do that. We just didn't know how bad it was, because at that time the fires, when we got the reports, and this is before social media and the internet, and so someone called me and said, "Oh, is your mum okay?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, there's fires in King Lake." And so I rang her and said, "Oh, have you heard about?" So King Lake's about straight line. It's maybe 20, 25K, but as you guys know, in a bushfire, that's not far. So I remember ringing her and she's like, "Oh, is there fires?" I was like, "Yes, Mum." So I said, "We'll come and get you and we'll pack some stuff up and leave." Thinking as much around, our mentality was, we'll get some stuff, bring it back to our place so you don't have to stay there overnight with the fires just over the hill. Not thinking there was any real risk. And again, shows how naive we are. But we went and we got Mum and my stepdad. And as we were leaving town, there was fire. It had jumped, so there was ember attack. So it had jumped into Yarra Glen. And I remember my wife and I were in the front car and my mum and stepdad were behind us. And as we went out of town, my wife said to me, "Oh, there's flames over there." And I thought, "Oh." And I had a look and they were a fair way away. I said, "Oh, they're a fair way away." And the police came past us, so stupidly thought, "Oh, if the police have let us past, it's okay, they're a long way away." And there was so at about 4:30, give or take, there was a wind change that essentially, and it was a dramatic wind change that saved a lot of lives and saved a lot of Melbourne. But to put it into perspective, here's the fire and it's blowing this way towards the city and we're driving along here. And the wind change has meant that we've come into the fire front. And so in a matter of seconds, the fire's gone from kilometres away to literally our car was engulfed in flames. And I remember, it's really funny how time, it's a cliche, but it's true. Time actually stands still. And so in a millisecond, as the flame cuts across and the smoke and that, we can't see out the windscreen. I can't see anything, but I know and I calculate that the road we're on is dead straight for about 200 or 300 metres, and then there's a big bend at Yarra Station outside of Lilydale, outside of Yarra Glen. And in my mind, I go, well, if we hit that bend, it doesn't matter, because if we're going 200 metres in this fire, and I didn't know how big the fire front was. So I'm like, if we hit that bend and we crash, well, we're dead already. that was the calculation I'd made. So I couldn't see, like literally couldn't see. I've put the foot to the floor, and we weren't married then, we were engaged. Rachel's next to me in tears, just repeating, and I can still picture it now, I love you, I love you, I love you. And in that moment, we genuinely thought we were going to die. And so we're like 24.
Yep.
And then we got through it, and then my mum was behind us, but they knew that. So I knew the road was clear because I'd seen ahead before the flames came. So I just put foot to the floor and then you sort of burst out. We get through, and then we had to wait. We got a further up, but then it probably took, I don't know how long it took because time stands still. But then mum and my stepdad came through it as well because they got caught in it as well. But they also knew that we were in front of them, so they didn't want to hit us. So she somehow just kept the same speed, thinking I would accelerate, but just kept the same speed to come through the other side. And then we just then went to our place in Lilydale, and the whole side of, it was a company car, but the whole side of it was melted, like the plastic and all that. So yeah, that is like transformational moment in my life. So two things happen, to be honest, when that happens. The guilt of the survivor is pretty significant. So I had a bit of a breakdown, happy to say, like that week. Like I was at work and just lost it. Their work was nice enough to pay for a psychologist so I could go and I went and spoke to them, and it was funny. I just unloaded everything, and then it was like miraculous, really. After I unloaded everything to the psychologist, I was like, oh, I feel okay. Yeah. And so he was saying to me that you keep up this guard when you're around your family and your loved ones. And so I was doing this, I'm okay, I'm strong, everyone's okay. Because you don't want to be honest with your family because you don't want to burden them. So he said, just unloading to a stranger, mate. And it was really like, so you say that and then suddenly you're not great because your friend, I had friends that passed away and it was traumatic, and we were still going through it as a community. But the other thing that it really did for me is, well, it gives you that appreciation of life. But I also, and this was the point I was talking about in my first speech, it makes you realise how precious life is. And I think when we're, it's the old saying, you're 20, 22, 23, just finished uni, you think you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof, thinking you're going to live forever. I was doing things with my life, but if I'm honest, was I making the most of every opportunity? Probably not, which is pretty normal for 22, 23. So that really just shifted my sort of mentality around, okay, well, actually, what do I want to do with life? What do I want to achieve? How do I give back? Our community, we see it as MPs. I'm sure you guys have been through tough times. Communities rally, and Black Saturday was obviously traumatic and still is. I mean, I shared on the 14th anniversary, and I was not surprised, but people reaching out to me on Instagram and social media, private messaging about, and I'm not saying this to say, wow, I'm amazing, but just saying that how I captured how they felt, and I talked about how 14, 15 years on, it doesn't leave you. You never really, recover's not the right word, but there'd be days where it's really hot, or you get a whiff of smoke or something, and you go straight back there. So that was sort of a really seminal moment in my life, in sort of going, okay, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to make the most of this? And I tried to reframe it. Like, I'm big on reframing situations, and there were so many people that had passed away, and we could have so easily been another statistic. And you feel guilty about that, but then you go, okay, well, I've got this second chance. Like, I've got to make the most of this. And, not everyone got that chance on that day. And so yeah, that was pretty seminal. And I sort of talked about it, not obviously to that length in the first speech. But yeah, there's no doubt that is the defining moment in my life. And the politics was already there. So it's not like that then, I didn't go from that to this, but that sort of just made me really grow up pretty quickly in life. Yeah.
And if this is, and for anyone who's watching this, our two viewers and 3 listeners, if this is bringing up anything, make sure you reach out and talk to Beyond Blue or many other organisations. Lifeline. There's so many.
Yeah, and just on that point, like, don't underestimate getting help with it. Like that was traumatic, so that's a bit different. But the principle that I just mentioned is really important. Actually, Dan, it's a good point. Like if you've got trauma in your life where you're struggling, talking to a stranger, and when I say stranger, I mean a paid psychologist or an expert, is actually really powerful because as they said to me, you can just let it go. You can let it go without feeling you need to protect someone. So
Power of the debrief.
Yeah,
right,
the debrief is, well, you'd know. Yeah, absolutely.
With many of the things you've done, you would have to have done that too.
Yeah.
And so and on that as well, like for Victoria, which is where you're from.
Yeah.
The CFA,
yeah.
Country Fire Authority, they do an amazing job.
yeah.
In the Hunter, it's the
You RFS.
RFS, yeah, we're RFS. It's different all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a big shout out to anyone who's a volunteer firefighter or even a paid firefighter. Thank you for all you do because you guys are absolutely amazing and you guys are certainly heroes. There's no doubt about that. So.
And we get, I mean, that's the full circle moment in many ways about this job. Is you'd be the same. I was like 2 weeks ago at the Lilydale CFA annual dinner and you get to say thank you to these people and it's really hard. Like, people forget it's not just the day. Like the CFA in this example, we're out for months afterwards cleaning up the fires. You know, they don't stop. Well, these traumas don't just stop on the day of the event. So, thank you to those volunteers that give so much to keep us safe. And the, as you said, paid firefighters as well.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Aaron. And I'm sorry just to quickly change direction.
Change gear,
and
that's
jump.
all right, mate. I'm happy to.
But I'm actually going to throw a grenade in here.
Oh, here we go.
I want to spark a bit of debate between you two because I believe that you both have some wine producing areas. Is that correct? Do you do it in your area, Aaron?
Yeah.
I'll let Aaron go first.
So we've got the best wine region.
I just want to know
country.
where should I be getting my wine from? What should I be drinking? Should I be drinking Aaron's wine or should I be drinking Big Dan's wine?
I'll make a shout out here straight up and say we should always be drinking Australian wine.
Yes,
no matter what, whoever produces it. So, but you should be seeing your neighbour next door. The next election over, come up the beautiful Hunter Valley. World's best award-winning wine.
Right.
Best Semillon in the world. We have just got what you need. You could go down to the Yarra Valley and have some of their okay wine. Good. You maybe say good. Good to okay is what you go, but not like amazing world-class winning wine.
I like a good red.
Now I'll let him
You like a good red? Well, if you like a good red, you should come and have a Pinot Noir from the Yarra Valley, world-renowned. I mean, the question you got
He says it fancy.
Yeah, he does.
Question,
He says Pinot Noir.
I mean, the question you've got to ask yourself, Gordon, is it's an easy choice. You support your neighbour or you come and drink the best wine in Australia. Like
and it's okay to say you got the best wine in Australia, but we got the best in the world. So we just So you can go your little best in Australia and we'll keep our awards over here.
It goes without saying if you're the best in Australia. But the other great thing about if you come to the Yarra Valley, you can stop and have a great Pinot Noir, but then you can also go to a beautiful gin distillery like Four Pillars, which is literally the best gin in the world, 3-time International Gin of the Year, which is actually a great success story for
I don't think we should be changing stories here at the moment. Because we're not talking about gin, we're talking about wine. Four Pillars is pretty good though.
Yeah,
and we are looking for a show sponsor, but anyway.
I'll talk to the Cam and the boys up there and then you can go from Four Pillars to Hillsville Sanctuary and cuddle a koala and then just down to the Yarra Valley Chocolatier and have world-class chocolate.
He's selling it, He's selling it.
Man,
you can do all this in the Hunter. You can go to the Hunter Valley Zoo. You can go to the Hunter Valley Chocolate Shop.
I don't need to go to the zoo. Just hang out. We hang out in the place.
That's exactly right.
Gordon, and then once you've done all that on Saturday, you can stay at a nice local winery and have dinner with your better half. And then on Sunday, you can just go 5 minutes away to go bushwalking in the Mount Dandenongs, in the national parks, to exercise.
Like a walking
walk
ad.
it off. So you've just got a whole weekend planned. And you're 45 minutes from the city. So if you're like me, obviously Collingwood, or also a Melbourne Storm fan, and these New South Wales people get upset that we keep winning and we're so good, you can go watch a game at Amy Park, 45 minutes from the Yarra Valley, mate. Hunter, you're 3 hours away.
Well, Hunter, we're 2 hours away from Sydney. I'll just run with that. We're 50 minutes away from Newcastle. And you know what I call it? Gateway to paradise. So we have, in the Hunter, we have...
You might be the gateway, we are paradise.
Beautiful wine. We have the southern Southern Hemisphere's largest saltwater lake. In May, I say you can get around that bad boy a lot.
Saltwater Lake,
Yes, I have a few of my staff members that go out skiing out there and things like that, bit of fishing. Chad looks nice on the skis.
I imagine
For any of you who know Chad looks really good on the skis. So...
strong agriculture. As you know, my family being strawberry farmers, I can actually take you for a personal tour. You can have some hand-picked fresh strawberries, cherries from Cherry Hill.
Jeez.
Hand-picked. Do you pick up in the Hunter?
You're going to pick some strawberries?
We actually, I don't think we have a strawberry picking place in the Hunter, do we? Where is it?
There's one there somewhere.
Yeah,
What
okay.
about cherries?
It'll be good. No, cherries are more orange.
Oh, mate,
For
so
us.
we've got
The Hunter's-
cherries,
because the Hunter's a
strawberries,
warmer climate.
blueberries.
It's a beautiful climate in the
I'm giving him
Hunter.
everything here.
You go down there, you're free, you go, oh, it's cold.
Nah,
it's cold.
it's nice in summer. And you go,
In summer, but you didn't even say about winter because it's cold.
No, but the good thing about winter is you can go 45 minutes and you're at the snowfields. In summer, you're 45 minutes to the Mornington Peninsula and the beaches. Everything's within 45 to an hour, and you've got it right on your doorstep, Dan.
And you can say what he likes here, right? Because ultimately,
it all out.
at the end of the day, we have the world's best wine. They don't have the world's best, so they can say what they want.
Controversial, Dan.
And then we also have 5 hatted restaurants, all within 10 to 15 minutes of each other. And I know your guys are spread out a bit further than that.
Maybe
Your
not
hatted
5 to
restaurants.
10. We've got some
Yes.
good restaurants in the
Yeah.
area.
About an hour and a half
bigger.
away from each other.
No, not quite an hour and a half. So.
I'm
How about we
not-
just
I'm not
agree
gonna-
they're great areas?
They're both great areas. I'm not gonna bag your area too much.
Yeah, be careful.
Do you guys have?
We've got a good gun range as well.
You
Melbourne
guys
Gun
have got
Club.
some good gun clubs down
Yes.
there, yes. Do you have Puffing Billy?
Yes.
That goes through
Puffing
there.
Billy
yes.
is in my lecture as well.
I
Been doing the job
grew up
for
in
me, go to
Victoria
Puffing Billy.
and went on Puffing Billy when I was a young boy.
Yeah,
Yes.
So my uncle and aunt used to live in Belgrave, which is in the electorate, and Puffing Billy's there. And my uncle used to volunteer, so we used to go all the time when we went to their place. We'd go to Puffing Billy, and when I was about 7 or 8, Mum tells this story that, like, in my mind, my uncle, even though he was a volunteer, owned Puffing Billy. So I used to like walk around like I owned the place. He was just like the conductor on the back of the train. But anyway, I was like, oh, and I went to do something and my mum's like, you can't do that. And I'm like, oh, but Uncle John owns it. It's okay. And she's like, no, he doesn't.
And we'll have our little spats about our wine regions around Australia. And I will always say the Hunter Valley's the best.
Yarra Valley's
Aaron
the
will always
best.
say the Yarra Valley. And then many others will say that area. Is there an area somewhere in South Australia they call the wine region over there? I don't know.
They claim it. I'm
Yeah,
not sure. Can't
yeah,
remember what it's
yeah.
called.
I don't know
Starts
who
with
they
B
are
or
anyway.
something.
But yeah, just make sure you get out and buy Australian wine
Yeah.
and support our local producers.
What we can agree on is all Australian wine is good wine.
Yes, that's right. And on the topic of wine,
Yes.
what makes wine is grapes.
Yes.
We hear you're a grape connoisseur. Is that right? What do you enjoy a grape is what I've been told.
I love a grape. Yes.
And what's your grape of choice?
the green ones?
The green
But then
ones,
you've
yeah.
got to get them at the right time of the year. The texture's important.
Yeah, the crisp.
So they've got to be
the
crisp,
crunch.
to the point that, you know, my wife has been known to, you know, get the bags. She'll buy 2 bags, and one's for like the kids' lunches and for them, and one I'll just sit in front of. I can polish a whole bag.
That's why he looks like that, and we look like this.
I don't eat chocolate or lollies. I eat grapes are my snacks.
And good for the bowel movements as well, I hear, grapes.
Keeps you
Supposedly,
That
yeah,
keeps you
yeah,
regular.
yeah.
Skins are good for that.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
nice.
a skin for. So yeah, I am. You've got good sources. I am obsessed with grapes. So when they hit that right time, they're quite expensive at the moment. So there's times a year where they're very expensive, so I've got to lay off them, and then you hit that summer period where they're used to be $2 or $3 a kilo. Inflation, they're now like $4 or $5. $6 is the best you can get these days.
This is the most in-depth conversation I've ever had
about grapes.
I gotta tell you.
Yeah, and so some of them have
Gordon,
seeds.
you're missing out.
You're
yeah.
missing out, yeah.
Nah, seedless. Gotta go
Seedless,
seedless. Yeah, gotta
because
go.
otherwise you're spitting them out.
Yeah,
It's just
correct.
not good
Go
for you.
seedless.
You chew them.
Yeah.
Do they have grapes in a Wicked Wings bucket?
No grapes in the Wicked Wings bucket, but we should buy a Wicked
And the
Wings bucket.
size,
and
did you
check.
get?
Yes, we should check.
You get the good size, then you're going well.
And one more thing, Aaron, that I was particularly happy about, a fact that I've learned about you recently, because I'm also one of these. You like a tidy area, keeping it clean and crisp.
We've got to keep things clean and
You
all.
do.
I mean, like a look at this desk, nice and organised. Very very high. Is that like you're not? Oh yeah, because you're really tall.
Yeah, it's a desk built for normal sized people.
This would be a standing desk for the most of us. I think a clean desk, a clean operating environment gives you a clean mind to do your work.
I hear you. Clean and crisp.
Although I can, raised by a single mum with 5 kids, I have been known to operate in mess and chaos. So I can do that, but if you can keep it clean and organised, build a system around it, it makes a difference.
Yeah, nice. Very good.
I see some of those desks. Like you see them on TV or those docos that they do, and watched an interesting documentary over the 5-6 weeks we had at home, but I won't talk about that documentary that I watched, but it was interesting. It was politics one, and some of the desks were like just piled with papers and stuff everywhere, and I was like, oh, how do you know what's what?
Hard to work with that, to work with that. So you come from an Italian background, Italian family. Obviously, you've got lots of aunties and uncles and cousins, and I would imagine passata is something that is worked upon and done as a group together. Is that right?
Yeah. We sauces are a big although my uncle sold his farm, he's retired now, so my cousins got out of the family business, so they're out now. So we used to go up to the farm and do sauce and do sausages, and although they used to joke that I'd just turn up for the little stir at the end.
Take the glory.
Yeah, my uncle would do all the hard work. But it's a big part of the community, and it's just an important way to get together as a family and pay respects to your traditions. And I know my uncle and a few of my uncles are always concerned that the younger generation are losing the traditions and the skill sets. So it's a nice way to get together. And as you know, in this job, it's hard to find the time, but I still like to drop in, and we'll have to work out our new venue for next season. We normally do it as he's got older. My uncle will do enough for 2 years, which is, don't know whether the health department would approve of that. Put it in the freezer and away you go.
And with it, so I've been part of a few salami days.
Yes.
And every salami day I've gone there with full intentions to be able to walk home quite well, and left an absolute dribbling mess.
Yes. Yeah.
So is that the same within your family, the way they've been done?
Do not drive. Do not, make sure you've got a designated driver, because it's a social event.
That's right.
It's the salami or the sauce. That's just a byproduct of being able to get together as a family and connect and have laughs and then sit down. And there's always, being Italian, there's always, my wife talks about the first time she came to dinner with all my uncles and aunts and cousins, and we were just having a normal conversation, and we got in the car and she's like, does your family always fight like that? And I was like, no, that was just, what do you mean? That was dinner. So
that was love. That was love.
It gets loud and boisterous, and I didn't realise, but we apparently all just talk over it, and then gets to full screaming matches. So so no, it's an important part of our community and culture, and you don't drive home. It's not good.
Yeah. Good work.
I think, is it time for the question, Dan?
So Gordon and I have got this little question that we ask everyone that comes on our show for our two viewers and 3 listeners, is the fact that you get to choose between our areas where you'd like to go to. So you know how good your area is in the wine region that you have there.
Yeah.
So mine's a bit better because we have the world's best.
You've done the sell, yes.
You add in a bit more into that area with the biggest saltwater lake in the southern hemisphere.
I've been to the Hunter before.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful agriculture. Fantastic job.
You'll just dribble on here.
There is so much to offer. The 5 or 6 hatted restaurants, all with it, and that's a foodie dream. It really is.
Alternatively,
to get into one of them, or you could go to see a beach.
Alternatively, if you don't want to go to a few fields and a mine, and
we have beautiful mines too.
Yes, a few fields and a mine. You can book a bit of time away with the missus and the kids, and have a nice sort of beachfront look out there, and go to all the beaches. And we have beautiful restaurants too. Not hatted, but we're getting there. You're close to Sydney, you're close to Newcastle. Great spot to be if you want to travel the surrounding areas. Also, too, what people don't remember or don't know is that the western part of our electorate's beautiful nature and nice sort of agricultural area. A lot of citrus plantations out there too. You can get amongst that. But yeah, do you really want to just be in some industrial area, or do you really want to see the pristine coastline of the east coast of Australia that you can have on the Central Coast?
Aaron understands how important the wine industry is to Australia.
We got wine too. You know that, right?
Not all you guys do is wine. Wine. That's all you guys do. So we actually have the wine you drink. You guys have the wine you whinge. Just whinging all the time.
Fires Creek
And that's what
Winery,
happened.
Distillery Botanica, beautiful places. Anyway, drum roll, please. Central Coast or the Hunter?
I'm going to upset Big Dan, but, you know, when you've already got the best, why go to the second? So I love a beach.
Hey.
You've got a saltwater lake and there's a beach. I'm going to...
I got beaches there too.
Well, you didn't put that in your spiel. You can't add information.
No.
Okay.
He's made his mind.
I'm going with the dock. I'm going to the beach.
Thank you, Aaron.
The kids.
See?
And for all,
I knew he was sensible.
For all the viewers out there and listeners out there, we understand now that Aaron doesn't care about the wine industry, and he just does not want to promote Aussie wines.
Progressive growing wineries.
You heard it here first on Dan and the Doctor.
That's so I'm taking Yarra Valley wine up with me to the beach.
Very good. So I got a couple of other things. I got a couple of mates that are called Aaron as well.
Yes.
And you would have had the piss taken out of you quite a few times.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
Dan messed up. Hey, Aaron.
Yes.
Yep.
I am. And that came out. I'd moved from Yarra Valley Snack Foods, and I'd started at Mars when that became a thing. So one of them early on put the clip up, and then I was just Aaron from the start. You know, this good nickname. It was a bit awkward when there was a real senior Mars person, and someone said, "Oh, Aaron, what do you think?" And they looked really weird, and then the person had said it without thinking about the context of this senior global person from the US, and we quickly moved back to Aaron. But yes, had Aaron quite a bit.
Good work. Well, that's good. I'm glad it's everyone gets a piss taken out of the name, Aaron.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dan and Gordon, geez, can't really.
There's not much you can do with that.
You can't bugger it up. You can't bugger it up.
There's a few others on there. D-Night.
You know?
As well. Balake.
Jesus, Dan.
There's a few. It's a cool skit.
Yes, no, I've seen it.
We should try and find that and put it on.
We'll just cut it in at the end
so people can see, and they'll see.
Keep listening, and you'll have
messed
it
up.
at the
Hey, Rob. Do you have any final questions for us?
Ooh.
We've only just added this the last episode, so we've just added this in for a final question to Gordon and I.
I'll hear self-interest as always. So. Nine.
Just in case you'd picked up at the start, it's continued the whole way through.
Back self-interest, the only try on the race.
Normally you don't get to talk like this, so I'm going to just take the most of it. So nine guests. Where do I rank? What's the split so far? You know, Labor, Coalition, Liberals.
We've had a fair split.
We've had a fair
Who have you had on
flair.
from,
We've had lots of flair.
Lots of flair.
But we've had Fatima Payman.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've had Cass Fernando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had Zoe Daniel.
Yeah.
We've had Jerome.
Yeah.
We've had Mr. Wilcox.
Andrew's good.
So Andrew's good. Yeah. We've had you and I.
Yes, you and
we
I.
were the first one.
That's the number one.
And you know what? It was just together. We were. It was lovely.
It would have been great.
We had Elbow as well.
You've had Elbow.
Yeah, go back and listen to Elbow's one. His favourite food's fish.
Disappointing.
Yeah, it was.
Had Sally.
Sally as well. Yep. Yeah.
Fish.
And now yourself.
Yeah. And now you. Yeah. So
we're lucky this is bipartisan. Otherwise, there's so many comments that come to mind.
So many.
But I won't.
If you go back and look at the one where Elbow said fish, I said, could you be any more boring?
Yeah, well, you said it. It's your boss, not mine. I promise. You know, I don't mind a good little political jab, but I'll let that one go through to the keeper. And yeah, no,
you know, Elbow, we both like you over here.
It's a good group.
Hey, Aaron, bit different, but we'll see. We'll talk about that. Yes.
That's a good group. Well done on what you're doing. It's good to be able to share a little bit more behind the scenes and show that it's not all cut and thrust and verbal jousting out there.
That's it. We're not all trying to kill each other out there on the floor of the house. So,
no.
Yeah, there is plenty of stuff we do and we work together. So thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it and look forward to seeing the edited version coming out in the future.
Can't wait.
Got to put your thumbs up at the right camera this time.
Thumbs up. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Not last time we did this one.
Sure.